In Dungannon, sweet Dungannon, that's when we were only children in Dungannon. I was never a child in Dungannon, but my very special guest on the programme today was a child in Dungannon. But since he was a child, a lot of things have happened before he became the man that he is today. My name's Tommy Sands. You're very welcome to the programme, and I hope you have the time, taste and temperament to stay with us, because this very special guest is called Jim Corr. Jim, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here.
Jim, just thinking about growing up in Dungannon, as I referred to some of your travels there, many things have happened since that. You've been a rodeo rider, you've been a ship's captain, you've been many other things as well. But maybe go back to the first song you ever wrote.
The first song I ever wrote was about the Loch Ness fishers. And at that particular time, all of the rules and regulations were governed by a company from England. And so the fishermen were trying to get their rights back so that they didn't have to go through a third party to sell the eels.
Ah, right,
So,
right.
You want me to sing it?
Please do, yes.
I am a fisher, I follow the eel along the Loch Ness shore. I follow the eel in the very same places my forefathers followed before. I've hunted the eel here since time begun. I fished all the lengths of her shore. But now a company from England has come, bought our rights to hunt the loch shore. Our mothers, our wives and our sweethearts as well, they told their men what to do. Turn out your boats and your nets when night comes down and hunt the loch shore. In the town of Dungannon and in the high courts, they say that poachers are we. But what would they say, aye, and what would they do if the tables turned might be? For a man has a right, aye, a duty as well, to provide for his family at home. And the only way we know how to provide are the eels that are on the loch shore. Our mothers, our wives and our sweethearts as well, they told their men what to do. Turn out your boats and your nets when night comes down and hunt the loch shore. There's another verse, but I can't remember it.
Okay. That was a big issue at the time, Jim, and a very popular song too.
Yes, I think it might have taken me 2 years to tell people that I actually wrote it, and most people that heard it thought it was an old traditional song.
Yeah, because groups were singing it.
They were.
Tell us about the time that you were with Jerry Hicks at a concert.
Yes, myself and Jerry were doing a concert, and this young folk group got up, and they were going to do an old traditional song about Loch Ness, and they sang my song, and I'm standing at the back of the hall going, what? And Hicks just punched me and he says, "That's as good as it gets."
That's as good as it gets.
And he was right.
Jerry Hicks was a great singer and song collector for many years. He taught in St. Pat's Armagh, didn't he?
Yes, he did, yeah.
You went to St. Pat's.
Yeah.
And that's as good as it gets, because it's so important that if you write a song within a medium and within a tradition, that song becomes embedded in the tradition, and that is exactly what happened to that song.
That's what happened to it. And then there was a group from Wexford took it to what was known then as the Kilkenny Beer Festival, and they won first prize with it.
Fantastic.
They did, yeah.
I know Tommy Makem used to sing it, and Tommy had a great regard for your writing. I remember he wrote a lovely poem about it. Which, Jim, that was when, in the 60s?
That was in the 60s, yeah. It probably around about 63, 64, something around that.
Yes. Well, then you headed off to the States, and you were a priest at that time. Whenever, and we talk about this after a while, but whenever you left the priesthood in the States, that must have been fairly difficult because you had been geared in one direction for years, and then suddenly, where do you go? Do you find a completely open world or a closed world?
Both. I found that if people got to know me first as a human being, it was an open world. But if they knew that I had been in the priesthood, a lot of times you would get the cold shoulder.
Yeah.
You know.
Either become guarded or something. Some people.
Some people would become guarded. I was in Mississippi working at construction. Anyway, that particular job closed down, and I had no money, I had no food, and I thought, you know, what can I do? I'm going to have to do something. I'll go to the parochial house. Went to the parochial house, and he threw me out.
At that time, of course, there was all sorts of terrible attitudes, wasn't there?
Yeah, there were. But luckily enough, I managed to get another job. And
what did you say to him as he threw you out?
I was just too shocked.
Yeah.
All I could do was just leave. You know.
And where did you go?
I had a pickup truck and an old camper on it, and I took it down to the beach and I parked it there. And I spent a couple of days there, and then I found another job with another construction company, and I went to work for them for about 6 months, and I got enough money together and that I was able to go back to rodeo for a while.
Well, when did the rodeo begin? How did that happen?
The rodeo began for me in upstate New York, of all places. It was the oldest weekly rodeo in the entire country. And it was run at a place called Painted Pony Ranch. And it was a full professional rodeo. The money was good.
What drew you there, Jim? Because you weren't riding horses in Dungannon, were you?
No.
Had you ever been on a horse before?
Very seldom. But there was something about it that just grabbed me. And the guys that were riding there said, "Hey, come on, we'll teach you." You know, so they did. And at that particular time, I mean, they knew that I was in the priesthood, and they didn't care. You know, not one bit. You know.
Any songs about the rodeo? Because I want to hear more about the rodeo, Jim. But would you have a song that would lead us in that direction?
I can sing a bit of it now. This is a song about. I'll take it up there again. There are different sports in rodeo, and saddle bronc riders, a lot of them will take a knife and open up the seam of their boots on both sides of the boots, so that if you happen to get bucked off and your foot gets hung up in a stirrup, you can get your foot out of the boot instead of being stomped, you know.
Because if you couldn't get your foot out of the stirrup, you'd be
stepped on. You'd probably roll underneath the horse, and you can get get badly bruised. But there's a song I wrote about it. One. Split boots and spurs and old bags of rosin, and saddles that are old in time. Shoot gates and playmates, and young girls that can't wait to see you come down to the line. With the motels and the hotels and the young girls that won't tell, dreams run through your mind. Each time you go down, it's just one more round, and you grin like the paint on a rodeo clown. And it goes on and on like that. I haven't sung that in a long time.
There's so many people here, certainly in our growing up anyway, dreamed about being cowboys, and people here, sing songs about cowboys and so on. But their dreams, you lived this life. Do you remember the first time that you got on the back of a horse in the rodeo situation?
Yeah.
Could you describe that? What's it like coming out into it's an arena?
You want to throw up.
Yes. Yeah.
You just don't know what is coming. But once that chute gate opens up, you can't afford to be nervous. You got to concentrate, because once that horse comes out of the chute, right, he's going to come out and his front feet are going to hit the ground. Both your heels must be in his shoulders, and if they're not, you don't score any points.
How do you score points?
There are two judges. One judges the horse for bucking, and the other one judges you for riding. And in saddle broncs, it's you have one buck rein, and both your feet must be in his shoulders when his front feet hit the ground, and then you have to continually spur him.
To energize him in order for you to get points as well.
Yeah, well, that will probably not really energize him because they're blunt spurs.
Okay.
Yeah. You're not gonna rake him.
Yeah.
With it. If these horses didn't want the buck, they wouldn't be there.
Right. They're the kind of bred or trained for that.
A lot of them are horses that just don't want to be tamed. They have a mind of their own, and they don't want to be tamed.
A bit like yourself. Jim, there's what's this? That's a jacket.
That's a jacket. Yeah.
You wouldn't wear that riding a horse, or would you?
Yeah. Sometimes you would.
Yeah.
It's got the fringe on it too, because
Jim, when you put it on, can you put it on with a banjo?
When it's raining,
I want you. I want to see you now, and this is the hat.
Oh, that's
and
one
we've got
of
pictures
many
of
bloody
this.
hats.
And I'm just trying to picture you.
And you can see how heavy that is.
It's very heavy.
Yeah. The fringe is on it so that when it rains, the fringe takes the water off your coat.
So that's what those fringes are for.
Yeah.
I never knew that before.
That's the main function. They're not just decorative.
Yeah.
They will shed the water.
Yeah. Will you put on a hat?
I wonder will it even fit me? My God, look at the bloody dust on it.
It's. So this is a Jim Corr that
that
rode
nobody
out,
here knows.
Yes, that rode out into that ring.
Yeah, rode out there and worked a lot of cattle in West Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, parts of Montana. Yeah.
Tell me more about the rodeo, because I mean there's a. Yes, good stuff. Maybe get the banjo again, Jim, please, if you don't mind. And have you know a song about the rodeo?
Yeah,
Jim?
we were traveling through West Texas, and the gentleman that I was traveling with could make money anywhere doing anything, but he was always looking for deals. And this is a... Well, Jess was a bit of a rounder, and me, I'm learning the trade. The cow dog sitting in the back of the truck, she was looking like she had life made. The 6-horse rig was empty, been empty for a day or so. We'd a tank full of gas, money in our jeans, and no place special to go. Getting close to Alpine, night was coming down. I thought we'd stop and make our camp near the little old West Texas town. Early, oh my God, my head's gone. Anybody goes on to talk about we met the owner at next morning. I shaved in a hubcap, put on my cleanest clothes, stepped out to see how horse trading in a West Texas township goes. Well, we found the owner of the stud. He thought that we were mad. I want to buy that big old stud, but already said that stud is bad. Now, Jess was a hell of a rounder, and when he spoke, I started to shake. He was betting the truck and the 6-horse rig, and he's putting them up for a stake. Well, I figured that I'd better get ready. I got my gear all set. I don't mind saying when I stepped aboard, it wasn't my tongue was wet. Well, the road the horse knew some fancy licks. I knew a few myself. Although he was good, there's no doubt about it that he wasn't what you'd call top shelf. Well, I rode that stud horse to a stop, got off like nothing at all. Then we loaded him up in the 6-horse rig, me, Jess, and the cow dog and all. And now we're leaving West Texas, heading for New Mexico. Jess is grinning, the cow dog sleeping, and with no place special to go. I got a tank full of gas and money in her jeans, and the stud horse we got for free. If my bones don't break and my health holds up, this the rounder's life for me.
Great stuff. Great stuff, Jim. So you travelled up and down and all around the States, all together, the riders, the horses, and the...
Yeah, well, it depended on what event you were in. If you were in calf roping, you'd have to have your own horse with you. If you were in bulldogging or steer wrestling, you'd have to have your own horse with you. You know.
So you'd be steer wrestling as well?
Oh yeah.
So you'd be riding the horse and then...
And then getting off and...
Jumping off the horse?
Yeah. You have the steers in the chute, and you're in this chute, and there's what they call a hazer in the other chute. His job is to keep the steer from veering off. And so when you're ready and you think the steer's ready, you nod for the gate. And there's a timing switch pops up, the steer comes out, and you're after him as hard as you can. Now when you get to him, it's you don't jump actually. I rode with my right stirrup just a little bit longer than my left stirrup, because then I could drop down, and you would drop down and run your hand up along the steer's back until you got to his head, and at that point your horse would veer off and pop your feet out of the stirrup, and you're grabbing one horn here, you're pulling up, and the other horn you're pushing down, and you fall straight back. So you're going up and you pull, and it's all balance.
You're on the ground at this stage?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And the steer's probably traveling 25, 30 miles an hour.
It must be very dangerous work. Did you ever get hurt?
Yeah, I broke my tailbone, my ribs, cracked my ankles, got opened up here, broke my nose, but other than that, everything was fine. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So.
Well, from there you went to, or maybe at the same time, you went to live with the Navajos.
I did. That was a great. What had actually happened was, I I was working at different things, and I rodeoed and whatnot, and I thought to myself, you know what, I should give this priest thing another chance. So
How long were you at the rodeo when you made that decision?
Oh my God.
Couple of years.
About 4.5 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
So they found a diocese in New Mexico, and I packed up and I went out there, and I was living next to the reservation, but in a fine house, you know, and I just could not reconcile living in a fine house while the people I was ministering to were living in anything but fine houses. So I moved on to the reservation, and very quickly I got to know a lot of the people, but they looked on me more as a cowboy, you know, because I had my own horses on me. And
like this is cowboy Indian stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And we got along well, but then it just, all of the little boxes that were set out there for people to get into in their heads, it just got to me, and I couldn't take it. So I went back to cowboying.
Tell me about the time you went to midnight mass.
That was midnight mass, Christmas Eve. A bunch of us, well, I decided that we were all going to go to midnight mass. So we all piled into the pickup trucks.
These are the Navajo boys.
Yeah. Which out there, that's they call them Navajo Cadillacs, pickup trucks.
Yes.
So we headed in anyway, and we'd been drinking a little bit, you know, and it was snowing, and wool blankets, you know, when they get wet, and you walk into a small hot room, there's a certain aroma comes off the wool. So anyway, they asked us to leave, so we did. And anyway, there's a song come out.
There's the priest in the chapel.
Yeah. Because the majority of the people there were Mexican Americans, and we weren't looked upon as being equal or good enough to be in there. Some brought him gold, some silver too. Some brought him gifts, all sparkling new. Some with fine minds before him stand. I just brought me this traveling man. I ain't got much in the line of gear. A pickup truck and a can of beer. I've done you wrong, but I've done the best I can. With all my faults, I'm your traveling man. Oh my Lord, before you I come. Ain't got no gold, no silvery tongue, and all I bring is what I am. I give you me, your traveling man. My boots are old and they're cracked with mud. My hands are rough, they've tasted blood. I've fought to be just what I am. With all my faults, I'm your traveling man. Oh my Lord, before you I come. Ain't got no gold, no silvery tongue, and all I bring is what I am. I give you me, your traveling man. He turned to me, and I saw him smile. He smiled at me, that little child. A smile said, friend, do the best you can, and don't forget, you're my traveling man. Oh, my Lord, before you I come, ain't got no gold, no silvery tongue, and all I bring is what I am. I give you me, your traveling man.
Beautiful, Jim. Beautiful.
Yeah, it turned out all right, you know.
Jim Corr from Dungannon, talking about his travels in the United States, living with a tribe of Navajo Indians. Do they call themselves Navajo?
No, Dene, D-A-N-E, it means the people.
Most people call themselves just people, and it's usually someone else who gives them the name.
Yeah.
I remember speaking to some Apaches one time. Apparently Apache means wife stealer.
Mm-hmm.
So when the English or the Spanish or whoever would come, what do they call that crowd over there? Ah, they're the wife stealers. So they became known as Apache, which means wife stealer. Yet they call themselves people.
The people, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about, was there any traces of religion within their own tradition evident?
At the very beginning, they were all Christian on the surface. But right down beneath it, they had their own beliefs in oneness, the Great Spirit, you know, if you want to call it universal intelligence or whatever, but that everybody is part of one, that we are the two-legged animals, there are four-legged animals, winged animals, and fish. But everybody joins in the one, and everybody is part of the one. And you must respect each part of the oneness. It's you have an obligation to look after everything, because if one is left out, all suffer.
I suppose it's only these days that people are becoming more aware of that in Western traditions.
It is, yeah. Yeah, they have a lot of, there's a lot of people now seemingly want to get into, you know, shamanism. They're at least looking at it as one way to connect. That there's something else there. There's something else out there. You know, I don't know what it is. And
there's a sense of divinity inside us all. In a sense.
that you know, you don't have to go to a church to find God. You don't have to go anywhere to find God. You can sit in a chair here all day.
You went back then
to
the priesthood. How did that work out? Well, you told me about going to the parochial house. No, that was a different time. Sorry. Yeah.
No, this it didn't work out very well. But I realized then this is not for me. You know, and it's not that there was anything going on other than just I couldn't agree with the way things were being done. Now, some people might say, well, you could have stayed and you could have changed, but I didn't want to become old and embittered you know. So I decided to leave, and I went back to cowboying. And that's where some of those photographs came from. And then
well, as a cowboy, were you working with cattle mainly? And would there be any predators for cattle?
Oh yeah, you'd have bears, mountain cats. That was mainly it.
And would you carry a weapon?
Yeah, I carried a .22 Magnum pistol and a .22 Magnum rifle, and a big Bowie knife.
It'd be animals that'd be the problem, though, not humans, or
Not all the time.
would there be the odd human that would look over a?
The odd human that would, you know, somebody would say the wrong thing at the wrong time, and all of a sudden, you have to take sides.
Yes.
You know, and you know, most of us, we ride for the brand, even if it's wrong.
Sorry, say it again.
You know, we ride for the brand,
Right.
even if it's wrong. You know.
Yes. Yes.
That, but yeah, there were a few things going on at Berry Hill Cattle Company. I used to go work for them, and they sent me up to what they call a line camp, which is way back in there. And the week before, the guy who had been running the line camp was shot by rustlers stealing cattle.
Wow. Did you ever have to enter anything like a gunfight? Or
No.
Yes, but
No.
But you had would you carry the gun in your pocket or in a holster?
I had a holster here, you know, for cross draw. Mainly because when you're riding a horse, it's handier to get it there than it is to reach down here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But had a rifle, and then a big Bowie knife that I had in a holster on the back of the saddle.
Did you ever have to use them?
Yeah, you would use them for skinning.
Oh yeah.
You know. Curing stuff, or for hunting deer. During the wintertime, we would eat a lot of deer.
Well, Jim, you found yourself then as captain of a ship crossing the Atlantic. That's a bit of a change.
Yeah, I went up to Massachusetts, and I saw this tall ship sitting there, and I thought, my God, I'm going to have to try this. So I signed on as a deckhand, and I worked as a deckhand for, must have been 3.5, 4 years. And then I became a bosun and mate, and then I had enough sea time accumulated by that time that I could sit for my Coast Guard test. So I sat for the test. We got the captain's license, but I didn't use that license for about 5 years.
And when you say sea time, what sea, or where were you?
The North Atlantic. Yeah, and the Caribbean.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have a certain amount of sea time accumulated before you can even approach the Coast Guard, and you have to have written proof of everything.
And what sort of ships were these? Were the passenger?
No, there were sail training ships for youth. Some were for college programs. Some of them were for private school programs, and then the other ones were for educated youth.
I see this cap that you're wearing, the Jeannie Johnson.
Yeah.
The Jeannie Johnson, that is the famous famine ship,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Yes.
Tell me about that connection and how.
Well,
Tell me about the connection there.
came home 10 years ago, and I was up in Derry, and at that particular time I always carried all my sea papers with me, you know, my seaman's identification thing and my discharge book and everything, and I saw the ship, and they were taking people onto it just for tours. So I'm walking around and got to chatting and talking to some people. And the next thing the captain comes up and he says, "You want to go to Belfast with us?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Come on." He said, "You've worked these ships." I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have. There's me discharge books and whatnot." And so I went with him to Belfast, and then for the next almost 4 years, I worked with him. And I also worked with Ocean Youth Trust out of Belfast. They had a gaff rig ketch that I captained that.
Was this working with sort of what's called disaffected youth or
Yeah.
at-risk
Yeah,
kids?
yeah.
Taking young people like that out on a ship, what's the value of that? It's kind of, is it the discipline of the ship? Is that part of it all?
Yeah.
Or?
It all depends on the ship, the crew, and the program that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have a proper program put together, then there are no dummy jobs. Every job that you get a kid to do has a purpose, and the kid can see what the purpose is. So the ideal tall ship is never finished. There's always stuff going on that needs to be fixed, that needs to be repainted. You do this, you do that. And but the kids that are lucky enough to go on these ships, they learn a good work ethic, job skills, communication skills, presentation skills. They'll learn how to, most importantly, how to organize their time.
Well, you find that one of the reasons why young people are disaffected would be because they don't have a role in society.
Yeah, that's a big part of it, doing that they don't have a role, and it's also they're so far removed from the reality, of breaking your fingers, getting welts. You're not going to get a welt sitting at a keyboard. That it's good for them to see that there are other things that they can do, and that they do have a certain value. And but the most important thing that we ever did was to set up a follow-up program. That when the kid comes off the ship, what do? You just turn him loose, and he goes back to mommy and daddy, or he goes back to the neighborhood, or he goes back to the youth home. And you have to have a follow-up program that will show the kids how do they transfer the skills they learned on the ship to regular everyday life. And if you do that, you're doing the kids good. But the one thing about sail training is that you never know how long it's going to take for something to click. It may be 6 weeks, it may be 6 years before something clicks. I have kids that I took to sea in the 80s that still contact me on Facebook. They found me. I didn't go looking for them.
Jim, give us another song.
Right. Oh, what did we see? I should never have taken out the little railway pegs.
The railway pegs?
Yeah.
From the banjo?
Yeah. Far handier.
For the fifth string?
Yeah.
Right. There's 5 strings in this banjo. It's a special long neck banjo as well. But the fifth string doesn't go down to the bottom. It's sort of a drone string, isn't it, Jim?
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a drone. You can hear it because it's always an octave above the do in the key that you're playing in.
Right.
Oh.
Which is, on the bagpipes or pipes, you often have a low drone, but this is kind of a high drone.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I sailed away from Galway Bay and a girl from Galway town. I swore that I'd return again and we would settle down. But 20 years have come and gone and I'm still going to sea. And I wonder if she's alone at night. Does she ever think of me? She'd a glint in her eye that made you smile. She'd a soft and an easy way. And I left her standing on the quay and sailed down Galway Bay. I've known girls from many lands of every shape and size, and I've lost my heart to all of them, the green and dark blue eyes. And I've danced and drunk the night away and sailed away at dawn. And the one that still haunts my dreams is the girl lives in the song. She had a glint in her eye that made you smile. She had a soft and an easy way. And I left her standing on the quay and sailed down Galway Bay. And I played. Talk all night of thoughts and dreams and things that couldn't be. For something deep down in my soul sends me back to sea. And I know I will remember her until my dying day. I still can see her as she waved goodbye. And I sailed down Galway Bay. She had a glint in her eye that made you smile. She had a soft and an easy way. And I left her standing on the quay and sailed down Galway Bay.
Beautiful. Lovely song. Yeah. When did you write that, Jim?
A couple of years ago.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Speaking of Tommy Makem and so on, you're related to Tommy in the Makem family as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
On your mother's side.
Yeah.
There's a lot of music in your own family, your own brothers and so on.
Yeah, it sporadically, you know.
Yes, yes.
You know.
Yeah. Well, you've traveled a lot, a hell of a lot. What kind of lessons have you learned from it all that you bring back here?
I should have stayed away. No, I better not say that. No.
Yeah.
No, you learn. Well, one of the things that I learned is not to be judgmental, to let people be themselves, you know, and just because, well, sometimes good people do bad things, you know, that doesn't make them a bad person. And, you know, somebody may have a lifestyle that you don't agree with. That doesn't make them a bad person, you know. But you try not to look at boxes, you know. Life's far too short to be in one little box all the time, thinking the same way, doing the same stuff. You know.
There's a song you wrote, I think probably many years ago, relating to a children's rhyme. I'll tell me ma.
Oh God!
Do you remember that one? talking of I
It's a Lurie man.
I'll tell my mom when I go home.
Yeah.
Not the children's rhyme, but one inspired,
Was it like,
based on.
I'll try a bit of it anyway. I am the wee Lurie man, listen to the drum, through the dusty bluebells, to the rattle of a gun. I'll tell me ma when I go home, I'll go home when I can. One more time to hear the rhyme, the wee Lurie man. The wind that shakes the barley's just an old time fiddle tune. And teach the kids the tune. Derry's walls and kick the Pope and watch them come down. I forget the thing. But it was on like that, yeah. What I'd done was just taking a whole bunch of sayings and children's songs and just threw them together, you know, to...
that idea of getting out of the box.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, what was I saying? Getting out of a box. I got kicked out of many Irish clubs in the States for singing this one. Today we led young Billy Jenkins down. We led him in the cold Belfast ground. We gathered round his grave. We asked his soul to save. Sleep sound, Billy Jenkins, sleep sound. Why cry, Mrs. Jenkins, why cry? Comes a time when all heroes have to die. If you taught him how to love, instead of how to push and shove, he'd be living, Mrs. Jenkins, he'd be alive. Hang your head, Reverend Jenkins, while you pray. Too bad you didn't do it yesterday. It took this to bring to mind how you'd been wasting your time. You could have taught young Billy how to pray. Keep your guns, Uncle Jenkins, keep your guns. With the talk of the deeds and days long gone, you're so brave, so far away, over in America. Keep your guns, Uncle Jenkins, keep your guns. Why frown, Mr. Jenkins, why frown? Young Billy's earned his piece of Belfast town. What once was proud and tall, there's nothing there at all. Hang your head, Mr. Jenkins, hang your head. We led young Billy Jenkins down today, and we gathered round his grave for to pray. And we prayed he'd rest at ease, and we asked our God to please curse the ones who led young Billy Jenkins down.
Beautiful, beautiful. Poignant one, that with Jim. Do you find that you can say things through a song that are more difficult to express in ordinary words?
Yeah. It kind of removes it from yourself. I can talk, but when it gets down to like intimate talk, I have a hard time with it. Mm-hmm. But I find it easier to just go off and organize my thoughts and then try to put it into some kind of rhyme or something, you know. And, it seems to work for me, you know.
Yeah, because you can say a lot of things between the lines of a song that if you're speaking normally, you're expected to explain or attempt to explain the inexplicable.
Yeah, yeah, you are.
Yes.
But
Well, you know, you've written such wonderful songs, and you're a bit of a recluse musically because it's not too easy to find you. And you've made several records which are difficult enough to get. How can your records be got?
you're asking the wrong man. I don't know. The first one, Joe Burke, the accordion player,
Yes.
tackled me one night in Detroit. He says, "I've got advice for you, boy." He says, "Sell every bloody one of them."
Yes.
And I did. I didn't even keep one for myself.
Because I was looking for a poem that Tommy Macomb wrote about you, which is in the back of one of your albums, and we couldn't get it because it's not to be found anywhere. If you've got a Jim Corr record, it's a collector's item, I can assure you of that. Any chance you might go into a studio and record again to make them available?
Yeah, I was thinking of it for last year, but then there were other things came up, and I didn't feel I had enough good new songs, you know. So.
What's the most recent one you have? Or is there anyone?
No, that Galway Bay one.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. There's a few others that are kind of in the hashing, you know.
Yeah.
They're but you have to be, you know, you have to watch yourself sometimes.
Yeah. In what way?
Well, in many ways, the north of Ireland is a closed house. You know, visitors are welcome, strangers are welcome, but only to a certain level. You know, and I find it's the same thing with somebody who's been away for a long time, and you come back. You know, I've been lucky in where I live. You know, really nice people that have looked out for me. You know, but
we have so much to learn from someone like you who has been away and seen so many different things and experienced different things. Is that not what we're lacking here sometimes?
Yeah, I think that the north of Ireland, or Ulster, or the
Stroke Northern Ireland.
Whatever you want to call
Yes.
it, you know.
It's amazing sometimes on the radio, it used to be, you know, you would say Northern Ireland, stroke North of Ireland, Ulster, or 6 counties, or this wee place.
This wee place, yeah.
Maybe we'll stick to this wee place.
I know, but it's like a wee closed box, you know, that unfortunately, so far, it's going to take another generation. People are afraid to open the lid, you know, because you don't know what's going to jump into your wee box.
Yes. We're still crawling along towards the dance.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
But
Jim, it's so good to meet up with you. It really is. And I've admired your songs for years, and I've been following your journeys. I've met you in the States a few times on the road over there, and it's great to have you here in Newrytown.
it's great to be here, you know, and thanks for asking me to come in. I was kind of shocked that you did.
Oh my goodness! You don't realise just how valuable your songs are to us all here. Would you give us one for the road? Just your pleasure.
My pleasure.
Yes.
All right. I'll do this one here. A lot of people like this one. And red velvet don't fit in an old dirt farm. Red velvet belongs in a town. You don't put red velvet in faded blue jeans. You put it in red velvet gowns. Drawing rooms, dining rooms, plumbing inside. carpets all over the floor. These are the things to which red velvet clings, not to a log cabin floor. Well, I met her in the summertime, high in the hills. Things were pretty and bright, and the flowers and the breeze and the tall piney trees, these made her eyes shine so bright. And old faded jeans, shirts burst at the seams, and songs of long lost love made her see the nice things of living up here, not the dirt and the snow and the cold. We were happy a long time, and some time ago things came kind of undone. Tried to do everything could have been done. We had some time in the sun, but I wasn't used to the things that she missed. Didn't know they were not here, till I'd wake up at night and hear her crying so light. Feel pillows all wet from her tears. Red velvet don't fit in an old dirt farm. Red velvet belongs in a town. You don't put red velvet in faded blue jeans. You put it in red velvet gowns. Drawing rooms, dining rooms, plumbing inside, carpets all over the floor. These are the things to which red velvet clings, not to a log cabin floor. Well, I stand in the snow, watching the road that took her back down to the town, wondering where I will be in the spring. Springtime ever comes round. She's gone and I know that she loved me, but oh, how she needed these things, like drawing rooms, dining rooms, plumbing inside, and a carpet to which red velvet clings. Red velvet don't fit in an old dirt farm. Red velvet belongs in a town. You don't put red velvet in faded blue jeans. You put it in red velvet gowns. Drawing rooms, dining rooms, plumbing inside, carpets all over the floor. These are the things to which red velvet clings, not to a log cabin floor.
Beautiful, Jim. I remember asking your cousin Tommy Macon one time, I said, Tommy, will you ever retire? He says, I retire every night and I get up every morning. Will you ever settle down yourself?
Sure, I am settled. I've been doing the same half dozen things for the last 70 years.
Jim, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for having me, Tommy.
A pleasure, a pleasure. Thank you very much to Jim Corr. I hope you enjoyed the program, and I will try to find out how to get the hands on some of these records and these songs. But you heard a few of them here on the program, and I hope you enjoyed them. Thank you very much. Until the next time, good night or good day, depending where you are and when you are. Good night.